Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Startup Show. I'm your host, Peter Putros, and today with me, I have a very, very special guest. A friend first, but a guest second. His name is Samad, coming from Talabat, the director of Talabat. And today, I know he's not a business owner, but you have a lot of business insights. How many years, Mr. Samad, have you been working at Talabat?
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much for having me. For Talabat, I think I'm the director of logistics. 4 years in Talabat, 15 years, like in working between KRI and Baghdad.
Very, very welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
I am very, very excited about this show because you and I, before this show, we've had many conversations about business, and your business acumen is one of the most exceptional that I've met.
Thank you. Thank
And
you very much.
to work for Talabat, the talent that you must bring there, the insights, I cannot wait for us to talk because a lot of the people that are listening, they are looking to either start up their first business or they've already started up a business and they want to build. And so today we're going to talk openly about the food business. I mean, just tell me a bit about Talabat because I know obviously it's a food delivery
Mhm.
app, but it's a bit more than that, isn't it?
Definitely. First of all, so like I'm not here advertising for Talabat, rather like we'll talk about the food in general.
100%.
Okay. So what is Talabat and what is these food aggregators? We see a lot of riders on the street, and this is like the part of the business that we see, the cycle, the business cycle. While in reality, there's a lot back end that happens. Most of us, like even me, like 5 6 years ago, when I used to order from the other apps, I thought just like you place an order, you get it. I was that educated about it. Uh, so Talabat and all of these, most of these companies that they work, it's not really just a logistics company. It's not your traditional logistics company where you just order. There's a lot of tech behind. At the end of the day, you're using an app. Okay, that's the most important thing. So think of Meta, for example. Think of all of these algorithms that they use. So now is the same. I cannot say it's the same, but it's very similar approach. It's very similar business idea when it comes to Talabat and these companies, the food aggregators in general.
I think it's not reinventing the wheel. These apps exist. I'm coming from the UK. We
Yep.
use other apps over there. We use Deliveroo, Uber Eats. Talabat is
Hmm.
the equivalent here, let's say. I think it's the market leader. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Hmm.
But I think you are privy to a lot of understanding of how the landscape here works in terms of what businesses are successful and what are not as successful, especially in the food and beverage industry. Some of the data you guys have is probably one of the best sets in the world. And so, people listening, some of them might be thinking about starting up their own restaurant
Mm.
or even just something simpler than that. And so, today, personally, I want to talk to you a little bit about your journey, the 6 years that you've been, learning. Because let's be honest, working for such a big company, there must be a lot to learn just about understanding the nuances of people ordering, their tastes, their preferences, what affects them, what makes them prefer one thing or another, or choose a new restaurant, and why they might not stick with it after 6 months. You've probably got a lot of insights there, and I think talking openly about that will really help people grasp the understanding of what it takes to actually be not just successful on the launch, but long term, build a brand
Mm.
that's going to last. And yeah, I'd love to hear more from you on that.
Thanks. So I think the most important thing, think of any platform is a listing platform. Okay, so it's like Talabat or any other. There's a lot of restaurants. There's a lot of that comes, like it's not only restaurants, like the other players, they have any other like stores.
Yeah.
Okay, uh, so there's a lot of details when it comes to this. Like what makes something successful, I think, uh, in my opinion, the stars has to align. Okay,
Okay.
there's a formula. Definitely, there's a formula for something to be successful, but there's a lot of work needs to be done. Uh, if you want me to go into the details and the details and the details, like very interesting conversation I was having with a friend of mine recently, like about 2 weeks ago, and it was about names of the restaurants. Okay, we're having he's starting a new cloud kitchen. Basically, I'm sure you know what cloud kitchen. Shall I explain?
Yeah, what is a cloud kitchen?
So think of it as it's like a normal kitchen, okay, but it's not open for people. It's only open for delivery apps and food aggregators.
Okay,
Okay,
so they could choose where to put this cloud kitchen away from maybe high real estate costs, somewhere where it's a bit cheap to,
correct,
have the kitchen, buy
correct.
the rent or the land, and then they can make
Okay,
the
or
food.
for example, maybe you're operating in a big city and like like for example in Baghdad, like, there's like Karkh and Rusafa. Okay, these is the big city, 10 million people city, and like you have a store or a restaurant like in Rusafa, but you cannot cover Karkh because it's very far.
Okay,
So you don't want to open for public. You just open a store, and it's only covered through delivery apps or
okay,
yeah or a
that makes
fleet.
sense.
Yeah.
So you're noticing a more,
So yeah, about the names. So we were talking about the names, and we were talking about differentiation when it comes to names, and I know like like anyone you speak to now, like for example, and they want to differentiate their products, okay, and this maybe comes weird for me saying this, like, but the question is to what level of differentiation you want to go into, okay. So it came to me like I don't know like the conversation from Shawshank Redemption, like one of the best movies,
yeah, it's a
and
good
it was a
movie.
flop. It was a flop in the box office.
Okay,
Yeah, and they said like because the name was very difficult.
it doesn't roll off the tongue as easy as something
Exactly,
like The Godfather.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so people couldn't like that. It lost one of the most the essence of word of mouth. So I want to go and, for example, like I recommend this movie. Like, hey, you know what? I watched this movie of I don't know what. I cannot remember the name of the movie, so it lost the essence of this. So back to the names of the restaurants. There's a trend, for example, I've noticed one syllable name,
Okay.
three letters, one syllable,
As simple as
as
possible.
simple as
Yeah. Don't make it
possible, very
complicated.
easy on the tongue, and people can remember, like Ruh, Faye. Okay, it's very easy
Mm.
names, and that's the new trend like that I've witnessed. And yes, I know, like you want to differentiate yourself from this, but do you really want to differentiate yourself from this? So now we're in the essence of startup. Like, think of us like startups. Who are the people? Most of them, like we generated seed fund of $20,000. That's the only thing that you have, and do you really want to go and do very differentiated product where only certain people will order from you, or you want to do something common and you address the majority? It's very like it's about going into niche and versus going to the public. I that's what I think.
Niching, I think people are, because they see so many restaurants and they see so many, yeah, like food and beverage, it's very common. I mean, part of the reason is because it's a need, it's not a want. People need to eat at least 3 times a day, some people
Mhm.
more, some people less, but on average, let's say. And so you eat, but 3 hours later, you're hungry again. So people are looking for different varieties and things like that. And the niching idea, I think, can work to a degree. Maybe initially it could be successful amongst the demographic in which they target. However, I'm not sure about the sustained success there. Maybe you could shed some more light on that later
Mm.
on. But I think simple definitely is key in the naming, but also maybe in the actual menu choices. If it's not broken, it doesn't need fixing. What
Mm.
works, what works, and that's what you want. And so people, because they're trying to be unique, different, they want their own spin on it. Maybe Tex-Mex, they want to try and mix up the ingredients, mix up the recipes. But people, let's say, they might prefer the usual stuff. So you're saying basically keep the name simple and keep maybe the menu simple as well. If it doesn't need, like if it works, it
You know what
works.
I'm saying? Like if you have the chance to lose and you afford to lose, be experimental.
Okay.
Okay? If today like you have I don't know, like let's say half a million and your investment is like $20,000 and you have all of these funds, okay? So you can afford to lose. Do experiment with the names. Come up with this brilliant ideas, differentiated ideas. But if you have only $5,000
Yeah.
and you cannot afford to lose, so you need to play it very, very safe. And the safe approach is being simple and targeting the biggest majority. This is how I think about it. And again, it's very it like today I don't like one of my favorite authors says like the opposite of a good idea is a good idea, another good idea. So I'm not trying to say like I am right or you're wrong. It's like both work, but where are you in that situation? I
I
don't know.
mean, so you mentioned cloud kitchens. I mean,
Yeah.
that's an idea. I'm not sure how common cloud kitchens were, let's say, a few
Mm.
years ago, but I mean, have you noticed how the landscape has changed since you began? Like, what was more common, let's say, when you started 6 years ago versus now? Like, how has that changed?
Um, it has changed a lot. Okay, now like especially with cloud kitchen, if you think about the essence of the cloud kitchen is basically you operate for the food aggregators. So when the food aggregators came to Iraq, Kurdistan,
What's a food
just
aggregator?
like Talabat and
Okay,
okay,
okay.
these apps, platforms. Okay, when they came here, they created this new notion of the cloud kitchen. Back in the days, like if you didn't have these people, why there's no use case for a cloud kitchen. Okay, think about how difficult it is to run all of this operation, riders, routes, and then a lot of systems. There's a lot of things are at the back end. So now Talabat and the other food aggregators made it very easy for these new cloud kitchens. So 5 years ago, if you speak in Arabic, they call it matabukh sahabiya. If you pronounce this, they will look at you like, what's wrong with you? What is this? Now, when you say this word, like yeah, like I have one, I have two, it's becoming the new thing.
Mm,
It's like I don't know the Silicon Valley of Iraq now. Like everybody's trying, and the nice thing about it is. Uh, if you lose, you're not losing a lot. You can be very experimentative with it. So today we opened, let's say, Summit Sushi,
okay.
okay, and didn't work.
But
Okay,
you can easily change it. Because the
exactly. We
kitchen's
make
a
it
kitchen.
Peter Sushi, okay,
Oh,
or
okay.
yeah, it's like
Oh, so you can split test different names,
exactly.
different
You can
menus, as many.
everything. You can be very
So tell me what success looks like then. So how would you know when you've not struck gold, but like it works? Obviously the sales, the orders, those come in, but like what are the, for example, if you're a new business owner,
mm,
you're opening up your own cloud kitchen, for example, or even just a restaurant. Well, it's a little bit different. They're two different
mm.
things, but let's say for the sake of discussion, a cloud kitchen. What are the indicators for success for, let's say, someone to keep an eye for in terms of, okay, this name is good. Now we can make sure that the menu is good, or how do you think they should navigate that process?
Uh, there's a lot, by the way. Like I don't know if I should say this. There's a lot of there's a library on YouTube, Talabat library on YouTube. And
Okay.
again, this is not an advertisement for
Okay,
Talabat.
but there's some insights here that people can
Okay,
learn. I didn't know that.
exactly. Okay, you can just go there. I think most of the it's in Arabic and in English, and I'm kind of sure there's also in Kurdish. Okay, we have dubbed it already like a couple of years ago. Uh, it's like there's a lot of things is like on how to manage a cloud kitchen, how to manage a restaurant like from these food aggregators. uh so like let's agree on one thing, which is the main thing. If you don't have a product, you don't have a business.
Yeah.
Okay, so starting from the product, like whether you're selling brinjushila, like the rice and the stew, okay, timman warag, okay. If you're selling this, or you're selling sushi, or you're selling, like, you need to have a good product, okay,
Okay.
something that people will want to eat, okay. That's, and I think this is a no-brainer. I don't want to spend much time from like then what are you offering? Okay, so there's this price, there's visibility, okay, and these platforms, they offer you this. Okay, they offer you the chance to reach, like, think about what is the difference between the platform and advertising on Facebook.
Mm.
Okay, what is the difference between these two? So on these platforms, you're actually targeting the right audience. There are hungry people going through the platform, Talabat or whatever, okay, and they're looking for something to eat. It's like they're Instagramming
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
there, okay. So you need to be what? You need to be visible there with nice pictures, nice descriptions, obviously appealing food, and the right price point. Okay, but again, there's so many things to be discussed. Like there's so many details there.
And I think the devil is in the details.
Yeah.
And these small details are what separates the wheat from the chaff. Because let's say you've got an endless selection to choose from. You're hungry. you want something that's going to catch your eye and everything. So what I would say now is we're going to take a short break, but afterwards I want us to go into the playbook of these small details, what
Yep.
it takes.
Let's
So
do it.
let's have a small break and we'll continue afterwards.
Cool.
Welcome back to the Startup Show on Babylon Plus. I'm your host, Peter Putros, and continuing today with me is Mr. Samad from Talabat, and we are going to get into some really juicy details now.
Let's do it.
Are you excited?
Yeah, very, man, very.
I am selfishly so because I've got a little bit of an idea. I've not told you this, but I'm romanced by the idea of doing something related to food, and I think this is going to be interesting because if we look at successful restaurants, like you've probably off the top of your head, you can think of 2 or 3 very successful restaurants, continuously successful, that have sustained success. It's not one-off success, and there must be some common things that they do right. Like you've probably been like, as long as it's got tick, 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 then more often than not, it will work well. We mentioned keeping it simple, the name, brand recognition, maybe time. For me, let's say I want to start a healthy kitchen. I want to create healthy food. I want to, this is going to scratch my own itch, by the way, because every lunch I'm looking for a reasonably priced lunch option. Where do I begin? So, okay, let's say I've got the recipes: lean meat, lean vegetables, simple carbs, keeping it simple. People like you and I, we're hungry at lunch, aren't we not? We want something quick. We're working, but we don't want to pay the earth to get it. If you were to advise me now, name aside, I'll keep it simple, like Pete's Eats. My name's Peter, let's keep it simple. Maybe that will work well, maybe it won't. But food-wise, let's say it's okay. What would you advise me as someone that was going to start this up to think about at the beginning before I go all in? Like, how would I approach it?
Are we talking about Erbil in general, or we are expanding to Baghdad, Basra,
Let's start where
uh,
we're at now. Let's say Erbil.
Erbil?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's very simple. Go on 100-meter street, Satmatri,
Yeah.
okay, and try to count the new restaurants. What are they? Okay, on 100 meters you have Qubli. This is not an ad for any one of them.
Yeah,
Okay,
but just
yeah,
saying what's
yeah,
there.
the
Yeah.
names. Okay, there's Qubli. There is the Rooster Place.
Yeah.
Uh, so
There's a few different ones.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And what do they sell? They sell authentic Kurdish food.
Yeah.
Okay, there. So that's a good business, for example. Okay, and again, you're not reinventing the wheel. Okay, you're selling Kurdish food to the Kurdish community. Okay, it sounds very simple, no? Okay, but when we talk about it, so like, hey, brilliant business idea. Okay, but sometimes like just right in front of you. Okay, just do this. Like you have Kurdish community, sell them Kurdish food, and
Yeah.
they want this. There's a lot premium Kurdish food. Okay, but you started the conversation with healthy food.
Yeah.
Okay, your question was about it. I think there's a lot of I've seen the business growing and advancing. The primary and the secondary supply chain is still something difficult to crack right now. Okay, what do I mean? Like the suppliers are not really suppliers. The vendors are not really vendors. Okay, as of so today, for example, you want your, I don't know, your portion of chicken breast. Okay,
This is my ideal meal:
okay.
chicken, some vegetable, and some rice. That's very basic, but it covers all of my needs, and it doesn't make me feel sluggish after eating it. I can still continue working, and it conforms to, let's say, my dietary needs. Like, I want a good amount of protein to carb ratio. We go to the gym, we want to keep fit. So I know there's a lot of people like us out there, because I know that's something that you like as well, but maybe you wouldn't have it on demand as much as maybe I would, but there's other people that would. So I'm thinking, how do I test to see if this is something that more people want, and how can I start? So
I
yeah,
think we circle back to the idea of cloud kitchen.
I
Okay,
was thinking that. Okay, so
okay. I think like one of our very close friends had an like a restaurant back in the days, okay, like 6 7 years ago. And he experimented with this and he was very successful. But the problem is like what I'm seeing with a lot of business owners, restaurant owners, there's always this peak of 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what I don't want to happen.
Yes, there's this like people wants to try the new thing, the new
Yeah.
cool thing. Pete's Eat. Okay, that's very cool, very new. Okay, then I tried once, and then you have like another 2,000 other people tried it once. Like, what do you have that will tell me to come back
So
again?
this is it. We're going to talk about
Okay,
retention now because that's the key to sustained success. So yeah, I'm very interested to hear about this. What can I do from
it's
day
very
one?
honestly. I don't want to circle back on. Okay, there's a lot of things that these platforms can offer you. Okay,
Okay.
with the level of advancement that when it comes to AI, when it comes to targeting, okay, CRMs, okay, there's a lot of things that can these platforms can help you with. Okay, there's something that we call, for example, deal targeting. Okay, this is one of the most important things. Like, how can I out of 1 million people, how do I know the right people? I
So
think, yeah,
you're almost putting ads on the platform to target your ideal user. So like let's
yes,
say of 1 million active users between the hours of let's say
yeah.
12 noon to 4 p.m. who are actively looking to find lunch options, you can actually segment to target the ones that maybe fit your
The
ideal
level,
profile.
I don't want to speak about the level of details, but in the essence of the algorithm, that's what the algorithm do. Okay, and this is
Oh,
how
that's
it works.
brilliant.
Yes, like it looks into, like, for example, people from Bakhtiari versus people from Waziran versus people from Empire, for example.
They've all got
Okay.
different eating habits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not there's like a lot of data points that you can filter by, and then you can approach and give them the right offerings, the right discounts, and, like, the basic 4 Ps. Okay. Yeah.
Or the four P's.
Price, promotion.
Go on.
Okay.
Price, promotion.
Yeah, a price, promotion. What is it? Like, you're putting me on the spot.
No, no, we'll come back to the other two P's shortly, but
Yeah.
I do want to circle back to, so okay, now it sounds like for me a cloud kitchen might be more of a better idea than opening up a physical location. So like physical location, you've got a radius in which you can operate, and maybe that radius can be expanded more depending on
Mm.
how long people are willing to wait. Uh, if you set something like that up, do you know anything about how easy it is to get started and start testing? There must be a lot of regulations people have to go
Definitely,
through.
definitely, yes.
How long does that typically take? Do you know like the ideal, like let's say today I wanted to start
Mm.
this journey. How, like from today until the day I can provide my first meal to my first customer, how long is
If
that
you,
on average?
like, if you're actively doing this with like, you go not yourself, like with a lawyer who knows what he's doing, he knows his stuff, his or her stuff. I think between 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
could use that time to maybe do some testing with some friends,
Yes.
family,
Okay, like there's a license that you need to acquire,
100%.
definitely, which is the most important one. Okay, and I think within 6 to 8 weeks you can up and running.
So let's say 2 months. And
Mm.
between then, you can set up your branding, you can perfect your menu, you can test it with different
Mm.
people. Okay. And then after you've launched, okay, then it's the process of how do you figure out, yeah, it's just a journey, isn't it? Like, what's next after those 2 months? What would you say, like, for a,
I think itemization. That's the so
what's that?
basically, like, what are you trying to sell? Let's say you're selling dolma, or you're selling riso, okay, or sushi. Okay, what type of dolma you're selling, what type of sushi you're selling, what type of, so again, back to the menu engineering and re-engineering, menu engineering and then re-engineering. Okay, which one to put first? And I think until you find like 5 to 10 items that these are your items, and then top up sales as well, which is, for example, add-ons. Okay, these are the things, but it's a journey. Like, you need to experiment.
So you have to start, and then over a period of time, you get enough data points then to know which ones to put at the top, which ones to maybe discontinue or change, and then from there, you're constantly improving. So it's not once and done, basically, is
And
what you're saying. It's an evolving
it's
process.
very evolving, and once you're like, especially when in the cases of cloud kitchens. Okay, and not only cloud kitchens, like most of the kitchens. Okay, uh, once you sign up for the platforms they assign account managers to you. Okay, these people are, like, we call them growth hackers. Okay, these are the people who would tell you, like, hey, what to do. And I'll tell
So
you
it's like
something. Yeah,
their success is your success, basically.
exactly, exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Okay, and these guys, like, they know what they're doing. Okay, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine. Okay, uh, who has a cloud kitchens, and I was telling him, like, have you tested the what the account managers have told you? And he was like, I followed what the account managers, like, by the word, by the letter.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And he was like, it works.
So they know the playbook then.
Yes, it works. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's in their best interest to make
Of
it
course.
work because you don't want
Of
people
course.
just churning on your platform
Of course.
because it's they make money, you make money, and you guys make money. Forgive me if I'm wrong, commission.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
exactly. So they don't make any sales, you don't get any
Correct.
commission. Okay.
But again, the most important thing, if you don't have a product, you don't have anything.
Okay. Okay. So make sure the product is there and good and it
Exactly.
keeps getting better.
Or at
What
least people wants to eat it. I don't know, like, maybe it's not good for you, but, like, there's another 200
Well,
people who
that's why
wants to
there's
eat it.
so many
Yeah,
different restaurants
exactly.
out there
Yeah.
to cater for so many
Okay.
different
Yeah.
tastes, preferences, the moods that people are in. That depends. Like some people might prefer ice cream a lot
Exactly.
one week of the month. Who knows? So yeah, there's a lot of different things there. Is there anything that you would recommend people actively avoid, like
Mm,
failure stories or just
mm,
complete like nightmare scenarios where you're like, oh, like without
mm,
naming names, but like you've
mm.
probably seen a few people that have crashed and burned. Like what? what
I'll tell you something. I don't know if I'm answering your question or not, but I want to say this, okay? You are not the customer. Okay, as a business owner, you're not the customer. You are in service of the customer. Okay? What you think is gonna work, or what you think as a business owner is gonna, like, attract people, is not necessarily is gonna attract people. So you need to know what actually. So for example, let's say, uh, I mentioned that a lot, like, sushi. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
I think
yeah,
you're craving
yeah,
sushi. By the way,
probably, yes, yeah.
I might be
Okay.
I might be yeah, I might be wrong, but I've got a good feeling. I put some money on it if I was a betting man.
Okay, so let's say, like, yeah, since we brought this example, and like, you're a big fanatic about sushi, and you're
I
like,
think you are, yeah. But
yeah,
go on.
okay, so
I love
because
sushi,
I
by the way.
because we both of us like sushi doesn't mean the public wants sushi, and like, and because I like my sushi in a certain way, it doesn't mean the public want the same sushi in the same way. Okay, so don't be, like, again, back to differentiation and being creative. Okay, creativity is nice, but in the scope of a startup, you're not building a unicorn right now. You're building a startup and you want to test things with it. Okay, don't get too much differentiation. Okay, try to attack or tackle the majority, because you, like, there it's easier, it's safer.
Yeah, yeah. It's proven.
Exactly.
And if it's your first business, for example, you don't want to be taking
Exactly.
unnecessary risks. And at the end of the day, a lot of people, a lot of restaurant owners, that's their livelihood. That's how they support themselves, their family. Why would they put them in unnecessary risk, spending all this money, savings, bringing money from friends or family, or even being lent it from other people? And yeah, 100%. So okay, but sushi, for example, let's say you and I, we like sushi, but there
Mm.
might be a lot of people that have never tried sushi before. Are there things like restaurants can do or cloud kitchens can do to educate the public to try it or break that barrier or that fear? Like, oh, raw fish, that sounds so alien to me. I've never tried it and I don't think I ever will. But when they try it and when they realize it's actually okay, it's safe, a lot of the time they love it and they want to stay.
But
Is
that's not your
that
job. That's not your job as a startup.
okay? So we're not trying
Okay.
to, this is where we get into reinventing the
Yes.
wheel. We're not in the business of education and trying to change people's habits. We want to see what
Exactly.
works. Okay.
If you're a big sushi chain, okay, where you are opening, like, you have, I don't know, 52 like, branches across the Levant and GCC, and you want to come here to Iraq and Kurdistan and invest and open, yes, that's your job. But if I, again, back to like, I'm someone who's 23, 22, and I'm trying something, and I want, that's not my job. That's not your job to educate the public. You need to find a wave and capture this wave. If you can do this, that's the $1 million idea. Like that's your iPhone. That is exactly that, you have built the iPhone if you can do this. But again, this is what a unicorn is. This is not our, that's very difficult.
Yeah, and it's very rare, and it's like one
Yeah.
in maybe 1,000, maybe
It's
at
way
best.
more.
Yeah,
It's
one
one
in
in a
a
billion, man.
really.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, okay. I want to talk more in a bit about potential gaps. Like obviously you've got different demographics,
Mm.
different ages. Like let's say more than 60% of the population here are under 25. I want us to think about those things because after the break, I want us to talk about potential gaps and opportunities. And also, I want us to talk about the ceiling. How high can revenue go with some of these really, really good restaurants, and what does it take to get there? Okay, but after the break.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Peter Putros here on the Startup Show here on Babylon Plus, and Mr. Samad is here for our final segment. I'm very excited about this one because
Yeah.
this is the money segment.
All right.
Can I become a millionaire by opening up a restaurant? One restaurant. Is it possible? Have you seen it done before?
Uh, I think that it's a very cheeky question, by the way.
Do I need? Okay. I know people become millionaires with multiple, but is it possible to do it with just one?
So, like, is the like, are we talking real estate right here? Like,
Oh, the
okay.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, no, that's different. Okay, so McDonald's they buy the land and then they
Yeah.
lease. Okay, and then the real estate sometimes they're in the real estate business, not the rest the
Mm.
food business. But food just on its own, like I'm renting a place. It's a perfect venue.
Mm.
People love it. People are coming back. Repeat business. The name is getting bigger. Word of mouth is spreading viral. My ads are good. My reviews are great. Influencers. I've done everything. What's the ceiling? Like how?
Are we talking revenue? Are we talking profit? Are we talking
Okay, well
EBITDA?
let's
Or
because I know
what are we talking?
well, we'll talk profit in a bit, but like revenue. Let's say
Revenue.
top line. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's doable.
So more than 1 million in
Yeah.
sales a year.
Yeah.
2 million.
Like, listen, I wish I can give numbers, but I can tell you, like, if, but again, like, what are we discussing? I want to link back.
Restaurant. Okay.
Link
Cloud kitchens may be different from
exactly,
restaurants.
like,
Let's talk about a physical location restaurant.
yeah.
Your KFC, McDonald's, not to name drop, but like something like that,
Mm.
or something a bit healthier. I prefer the healthier options. But yeah, let's say physical location.
Mm.
I know it's operationally complex. You need a lot of people sometimes in the kitchen, on the floor, waiters, whatever. The margin that comes at the bottom after everything's finished, the gross profit. We're talking some, yeah. But do you know what percentage margins they typically operate
Like
on?
that's usually the formula is 33, 33, 33. That's the formula.
So
Okay.
what does that mean?
Okay,
Break it down.
so
So what?
33% is the cost of the food. Okay, like any restaurant owner, you to speak to them, they'll tell you about this 30, 30, 30. That's how they call it. Okay, 33.3333.
Yeah.
Infinite threes. Okay, anyways, so that's what they say. It's the food cost and the opex. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever, like running the, and then the other 33, which is their revenue, their margins. Okay, so this is like most of that industry.
They all just end up
Yeah.
like they all end
Yeah.
up just like
And
they
it's
get
very
to that.
international. Okay, it's not like just Kurdistan or Iraq. It's just like international. Anyone
Yeah.
across. Okay.
Because there's only so much you can charge
Yeah.
for food. People are going to be like, oh, let's just raise the prices. Well, you're in a competitive marketplace. If your kebabs or if your dolma is substantially much higher in cost compared to the others, then people are going to know that. And why do I pay more? Okay, the brand or maybe the prestige, or I might do it once because of the location or special event, but that's not sustainable, is it?
Thing is, I'll tell you something. Like, I've seen someone who's like in the food and beverage industry for the past 5 years, okay, which is not much, by the way, like comparing to people that I know, like 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
The restaurant owners that I deal with them, it's like they third generation restaurant owners. People,
Passed down
yeah,
to their kids,
yes,
their kids'
exactly,
kids.
like 60, 70 years. Okay, so I'm only 5 years. Okay, anyways, what I've seen people come literally with a very small, like places even here in Erbil, they come with a very small food cart, and then they expand, and then it's become one location, then three locations, five locations, and it's like there's multiple examples from Erbil, for example. Multiple examples from Baghdad. So yes, like definitely you can do this, definitely. But again, I will go back. If I want to know, like, who are the audience of this podcast that we are doing right now, or this interview that we are doing? If we are talking to business owners or people like they have a couple of millions they want to invest, yes, definitely. If you have $20,000 and you want like 1 million that you're investing, and you want 1 million, let's say euros or dollars, I think it's a bit tough.
Okay, so you need a bigger startup capital to get to that.
I think, yeah, pretty
Okay.
straightforward, no?
What's the okay, so that brings me to my next question, which is an interesting one because we have now so many places that sell food, so many.
Mm-hmm.
Like in this area alone, I don't think I've seen such a high concentration of places that sell food. People love to eat here.
Yeah.
I love to eat. You love to eat. I think I've not met anyone here that doesn't.
Unfortunately.
Well, fortunately, unfortunately, it's
Yeah.
one of my favorite things to do in life. So for me, I love it, and I don't want to ever change. But how can you find if there's a gap or an opportunity here? Like you must be having some
Mm.
privileged information behind the scenes to know what's trending a bit more now. What is the wave to ride on? Like we're seeing now, let's say AI,
Mm.
that technology adoption is on a wave that's going up. But in the food industry, are there any trends, any gaps that people can think about at this stage that they could be like, all right, if I'm going to start something, if I do this, that's probably a better approach.
Okay, we eat 3 times a day. Okay, uh, minimum.
Yeah.
Okay, most of us, I think, we eat 3 times a day, and with the snacks becomes 5 times a day. Think about you, your family, and your extended family. Okay, I'm not talking about your tribe, and no, I'm talking about you, your cousins. Okay, what people who live here in this place. Okay, what are we eating? Name 5 families that you know, and ask them if name 5 families that you know that don't eat rice on their lunch. It's very difficult.
Yeah, it's
Very
tough.
difficult. Okay,
I think
so
we could be here for a while
okay, it's very
thinking about that.
okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. That it's right in front of us. Okay, it's like
But do we need more of those restaurants? Like, how do you know if it's saturated or not? Like, I'm looking for gaps. I don't want to be different. I don't want to be different for the sake of being different, but like, let's try and do something a bit more. Is there anything like you said, cloud kitchens? Are
mm,
they cloud kitchens to provide food like the rice, the maraq, the dolma, these kind of stuff? Or is there another opportunity that we're missing or that is
mm.
emerging and it's on
Like
the up?
I think we're touching bases on two different things. Okay, the technology and culture.
Yeah.
Okay, and food is especially like any ethnic places. When you speak to them, they're so in touch with their ethnic food. Okay, so changing this is not an easy. This requires like years and years and years of work. Okay, in order to change this. Yes, you can tap into it. Definitely, there's burger place. Like a friend of mine, again, this is not an ad. Recently, they opened. Shout out to them, MJ and Rawan. They opened the 29 Cafe. It's an all-day breakfast. It's a very new concept, amazing concept. Okay, this is something that they just built and they just launched. It's very interesting, very nice coffee. Like you can go there. Uh, so what I'm trying to say, there is this, and there's the other part, which is okay. Your the ethnic food,
Yeah.
okay, which we are in love with, okay. And for this to change, honestly, this requires like a demographic change or something really, really big, and in order to slow it down. So we're mixing two things, which is the technology and the ethnic food together.
But the ethnic food, people would maybe want to do that when they come in person with their families to the restaurant.
Mm.
But if they're to order in, let's say they might not necessarily do that. Why would I order it to home when more often than not they're living with their families and they have that food on demand whenever they want. They want something different. And so if you're thinking about it from the perspective of I want to order this to my house or
Mm.
to my flat, that is typically a younger consumer type behavior. Let's say I don't know the stats on the app, but I'm guessing the majority of your users are under 40. They're more familiar with technology, they're more willing to order food from an app, and they're more willing to take different tastes. They might not want to order the typical, cultural meals. They might want to go a little bit left or right and try something different. Are there any opportunities there? Any gaps or any areas where are emerging?
I want to I want to disagree a little bit on that.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, the people who are ordering, they are those people, but the beneficiaries are not necessarily the same people.
Oh, okay. So they're ordering
Okay.
on behalf of the family.
Exactly.
I
Like
get it.
I'll tell you, this is not. This is from my personal life, from my house. My nephew, who's also shout out to him at us. Okay, he's 19. He's the one who's responsible for ordering for all of the house.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay. That's interesting.
so now I think the gap. How can we make something appealing for him so he makes it appealing for the house?
Oh,
It's a very tough one.
that's
It's very tough. Yeah.
interesting.
Okay, I don't. So yes, I agree with you. Those people are no, but again, those 17, 16 years old are still are not making money, so they take money for their parents, and they're doing they're doing the action. It's like the back in the days when they used to send the kids like to do the shopping. It was like 17 years old as part of the chores. It's the same thing. It's a house chores now, or at least this is my view on it. Okay. So it's still the customer hasn't changed. It's a little bit evolved. They want to try something different. They want to, but again, when you want to eat, you want something that, like, think about first thing that you do as a Kurd, as Arab, as like when you travel, like it's always astonished me. Like the first thing that when you go to Dubai, for example, let's look for Matam Samad restaurant to eat food, Iraqi food there. Like you just came back, you just came back. Okay.